Previously on Forever Home.
We are working on some leaks. Well, the door's installed, and it still leaks. We've got a massive problem because they didn't solve the issue. So once again, flashing layers not in the correct order. House wrap should have been on here first. Door should have been installed on top of that. Instead, the door is in first, and then they kind of flop some tar paper around it, which is really not the way it should have been done. But we're not going to get into pulling the entire door out of the opening in order to do that correctly, but we are going to try to make a couple corrections to improve the situation here, get some tape from that nailing flange down to, in this case, the foam. We think it's foam over plywood sheathing. And then we're going to lap the house wrap and the J-channel back in properly, which hopefully is going to do a better job of keeping the moisture from just slipping behind things for anything that gets behind the siding. So once again, if you don't get the layers right, now up here at the top, the customer has a leak at that basement door. And it's because there's not enough house wrap in the right places on this house. But where's the water getting in? Well, one of the places the water was getting in was up here because this piece of J-channel was draining right down behind that corner post, which means there's no protection all the way down. And all it's got to do is find a piece of foam sheathing to snap in. So we're going to take a piece of metal and work it in here, get it up behind, and drain it out. Well, now that water that comes down this J-channel has to land on top of here, and when I get it secured correctly, it's going to have to wind up in that next piece of siding's clip system. And underneath that are these weep holes, which will allow the water drip to the exterior. And we're also going to follow this corner post down to the bottom, and I will make some adjustments and corrections down there to help prevent that from being a problem at that point. But it starts by fixing this, and we may also have to do a couple things with that window up there to prevent the water that comes down this piece of J-channel from being able to get behind the house wrap here. We want to make sure that it winds up on top of things, and that's going to be another one of these pieces of metal going in right there. So here's a spot where we've got a window coming down, and that nail is rusted completely, which is an indication you got a lot of water coming through there. We can see the ripples here. We can see the water lines on that. So we know that water is getting in that J-channel and running behind the siding. And we also know that on this house, that the house wrap is not continuous. And so if there's any gaps, we know that water getting in at the J-channel of the window is going to leak down. So we're going to put a piece of metal up behind the nailing fin and then out on top of here. So it's going to go behind this fin. It's going to go in front of this and hopefully move the water out to the front and give it an opportunity to come out in the siding. Now over on the other side, this one's a little more challenging because they've got their house wrap really messed up and the foam exposed and that nail is rusting out. So we got to find a way to deal with that too. And again, I'm going to try to put a piece of metal into this whole thing and bring that water out in front of this piece of house wrap, in front of the piece of siding there. So we shall see. All right, new piece of metal in there to bring that water down into the bottom edge of the siding. And same thing over here. Comes down, drops it out on top of that and into this channel, so it'll come out the weep holes. And see if that doesn't help address up here. We've already taken care of these locations. So the next is going to top and the bottom of this window. Should be fun. Showed you what we did to try to fix the window up there. And then the J-channels on the side of the two roof lines that come out. And then we address the top of this window. We're going to address the bottom of this window. But I love how the guys who put the new door in thought they were going to solve this problem. Let's just throw a piece of flex wrap there. That'll take care of it. And it's not even behind the J-channel on this side. It's down in front. So any water that gets in here and runs to the back, comes out back here, goes behind the J-channel, behind their tape, behind all that, and it's just got to find a spot in that foam to get in. Any water that's coming down from these windows or up above, it either finds a spot gap in the tape or a hole in the tar paper, and it's got an easy way in. So we're gonna try to do something different here and see if we can solve this. All right, so we've got new Tyvek run all the way up and under that window flange. And then just to make things nicer, to make sure we had it 100% covered, There's a piece of aluminum here that we ran up behind the old, what was left of the tar paper, and up under the edge of that. We've got a piece of metal here that runs behind and underneath that flange, and behind and up under the original tar paper, so we make sure that I couldn't get the piece of tie back up quite as high as I wanted. So that's there. At the bottom here, we've got this piece of metal wedged in, so that any water that comes back this J channel here is going to drain onto the metal out in front and on top of things like it's supposed to. Anything that comes down this lands on top of the metal, winds up there, and we'll probably wind up actually parting this out on top of the piece of siding. Sort of like this one set up here, same thing, piece of metal underneath. Any water that comes out from underneath here winds up on the metal and winds up on top of the nail trim and in the drip channel for the vinyl siding. And so that series of adjustments should make a tremendous difference in the waterproofness of this area. So we've solved the top window, we've solved the middle window, we have now solved the issues down here at the bottom. I'm also working on doing a similar fix on this side, just as belt and suspenders, to make sure it's all taken care of. So that's how we're solving this problem. If we can solve a problem for you, 484-748-0008. Choose option 2 for Cope Construction and Renovation, extension 2 for new projects. We look forward to serving you soon. Bye for now.